Okay.
Welcome to the Soul Infused Monday Show. I wanted to be live here today with my dear friend and energy healer, Beth Daniel Jones, but we had some tech issues, so we are pre-recording this for you so that we can still provide you a really great interview. I'm super, super excited to have Beth here on my show. Hi, Beth. Welcome to Soul Infused Monday.
Hi, Sonia. I love being here with you.
Yeah.
Thanks for putting up with my technical challenges over here in Hawaii.
I know we had some challenges, and hey, Beth is in Hawaii. She got up early for us, and it just didn't connect. Facebook did not cooperate with us today. So anyway, so we're here, and I want to share real brief a little bit about Beth, and then Beth, if you don't mind, share a little bit yourself. I think it's always better. But Beth is the founder of Best Healing Solutions, and she was a co-founder of Quantum Techniques for. Yeah, you were working like for 16 years, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, 17, 18, yeah.
Yeah, and I remember I got in touch with the work that you're doing like back when I was in Germany, that is like over a decade ago. And so I've been working with Beth for many, many years myself. And I'm super excited to have a topic today that's also dear and near to my heart: how to recover from addiction and anxiety using the power of energy medicine. And before we dive into that topic, Beth, I would love for you to share a little bit about your own story, because it's easy for people to look at us and think, oh my God, they have it all together, healthy, vibrant, beautiful, but that's not where you come from. And so if you don't mind to share what actually happened that got you to this place today.
Yeah, well, we don't have that much time, but I will.
Yeah. Like the most important piece.
Yeah, we could be here all day for that. It'd be fun, but yeah. Well, very interesting, but my health really hit the dump when I was, about 18 years ago. But, when I look through my life, my health was never very good. I just pretended. But, so about 18 years ago, yes, I actually ended up on an oxygen tank. I had cancer. I had environmental illness, multiple chemical sensitivities, terrible food allergies, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, Epstein-Barr virus, all of this stuff. And my health had just crashed, and I didn't really know why. So it was a process of unlayering and, finding something that helped me. And I tried many different things. And then I found energy medicine through Quantum Techniques. And then I co-founded that with my ex-husband. And we had that together for 17 years or so. And then I started my own journey here with Best Healing Solutions. But that work and the power of energy medicine really is what helped me to improve. And then what we're talking about today is, addiction and anxiety and recovering from those things. And that's been a big part of my life as well. Addiction, in my family, both sides, for generations. And then in my previous relationships, addiction as a big component. And then in my relationship now, I'm with someone who has recovered from significant addiction in his life and had the courage to do that. So addiction has really been a thread throughout my lifetime, as has anxiety and, my own anxiety. And one of the things I've noticed with clients for the past 18 years is that a core issue to really any chronic symptoms is anxiety. And for many people, that does manifest as some kind of addiction to cover up the anxiety and the emotional pain. So it's just very near and dear to my heart with what I've seen with my family, my own journey, and my clients for, almost 20 years. So that's why I wanted to talk about that piece today.
Yeah, and when we were talking about what to talk about, I mean, I've been struggling with addiction and anxiety myself, like looking back, and I also want to bring in, it's also a little bit of a different approach than what's out there, that it's just substance so it's really the underlying issue. And even when you know it, like, for example, I've been working on this for a long time, right? Like, and sometimes for me, it's food, has been food in the past, where often it's like, even sometimes when I feel like, I still want to overeat, and I actually even know there's something else underneath. I might feel lonely, or I might feel anxious, or I might feel something else. Just knowing alone doesn't really do the trick, right? Like that alone doesn't help. So before we dive into it, for those who may be new to energy medicine, but we don't have to go too strictly into that, but what would you say is energy medicine for anyone who's wondering, okay, what does energy medicine actually mean?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And yeah, I probably answered this many times, and my answer is probably different every time. Yeah, okay. Yeah, but I really think that, we're all energetic beings, right? And at our core, and we're all a vibration of energetic frequencies. Whether that is the organs inside the liver, whether that is our whole vibration as a person, or you're looking at specific chakras, whatever system you come from. Energy and energy medicine is really about releasing blocks to healing, and it is that simple. Releasing blocks to healing. And oftentimes these blocks are not just physical. And they can be physical. It can be a virus in your lungs that causes you to have anxiety, literally. Mm-hmm. It can be a reaction to wheat or corn that causes you to have anxiety more than you would otherwise. I don't think it will completely cause it because there are underlying issues. There are often, especially with this topic, but all topics, a non-physical, emotional, mental, spiritual piece. And what I think is not common knowledge is that those frequencies of anxiety, fear, shame, trauma, and the sun is coming up here. Probably what you're seeing coming in is, yay! The sun is coming up today on our technical problems. But really, that those frequencies take up physical space in the body. And that is not really a well-known fact. Candace Pert really showed that with Molecules of Emotion, that book from several years back, that it actually takes up space in your being. So energy medicine is finding why. And the system that I use for healing with energy medicine finds out why really fast. And I go through a series of self-testing and building intuition through testing to find out for a person why. Why do they have this? And we can find that out really fast and then help them heal. And usually it is a core trauma or series of trauma. You bring that to the light, and what you reveal heals. And it's that simple.
Yeah, I love it. And I want to say a few things about it because I've been doing energy medicine for a long time too. For any of those who hears like, we find out fast. If you struggle with some big issue, it's not going to resolve overnight. And I just want to put that out there, just because like it's.
Or it can.
Usually. In my experience, but what I mean is it's so powerful because you might have tried different things and you've never found the underlying that one part that you do through self-testing. And I love this work. I've been working with you for so many years. I know stuff myself. And you might, you said, it can be foods, it can be toxins. Like I remember one time years ago, I had severe issues with headache, neck, shoulder problems, and it never occurred to me back then because I didn't know that much yet, that it was my laundry soap that was actually causing me to have those symptoms.
Yeah.
And so I could do any work in the world, and every night I go to bed and kind of like this inhaler, and it reversed my system and it caused me problems. So it's that super, super, super powerful, right? We're not gonna go into how you do it. I think that's too complicated. They wanna know that it works for them. And when it comes to addiction and anxiety, Beth, and you having that experience in working, what would you say the anxiety is underlying? And there are different ways there are different addictions. I wanna say that too. Often people only think, it's drugs and alcohol, right? But addiction can be food, emotion, behaviors, even exercise, gambling.
Gambling, pornography, yeah, addiction to exercise. That is actually really common. People that are addicted to adrenaline.
Yeah. So from your experience, what would be the first steps from someone that feels, hey, I have a problem, or I have addiction, or I have an anxiety? What would you say are the first steps in order to really resolve that on a deeper level?
Yeah. So when I walk this through with someone, I'll just give you an example. Yeah. So the first steps that I always do, because it's easy, is looking at physical. Okay, what are any physical substances or eating, drinking, wearing that reverse their system, which means just blocks them from healing. And that's easy, that's basic, it's a simple testing process. So for example, some people are highly allergic to corn. So if they drink whiskey, they get angry and violent. Okay, so they're allergic to that substance. Okay, they use that to cover up anxiety, and they may be addicted to it, but they're allergic to it. So I need to find that out quickly up front. So what are their allergies, food sensitivities, and so on? That's easy, takes less than 10 minutes. Okay. Once we have that, that helps the chemical messengers, the neurotransmitters in the body function better if they avoid those things. It's that simple. Okay, so that's really step one. And then looking at step two with anxiety and addiction is a couple of things. First of all, there will always be a core trauma or series of traumas that have led to emotional pain that the person is trying to cover up with some kind of addiction. And addiction has nothing to do with the substance. It's not about food, it's not about alcohol, it's not about pornography. It's about covering up emotional pain and anxiety. So the choice, the substance of choice doesn't matter. Okay, it's all the same.
Yeah.
So looking at, what the core trauma or traumas that have led to, and this is the key, have led to a feeling of, I have no value. So something has happened in life that I believe I have no value. I have been devalued. I am overlooked. I don't have value as a person. You will often hear in alternative healing circles people saying, you are enough, or it's about not feeling like you're enough. The core of addiction is more than you're not enough. It's really feeling like you have no value. Mm. And I just found that to be what I call kind of a linchpin for this whole thing.
Yeah.
And looking at, where does that belief come from? And of course, that is trauma. But where does that come from? And once we find out the why, what is the trauma? What happened that I believe this lie, that I have no value?
Yeah.
And literally revealing that. Revelation heals, bringing that to light. And then finding out where is this held in the body, literally, because it takes up space. Literally, where is this held in the body, and releasing that through, the work that we do, and using a series of acupressure points. I call it a healing code, that releases that from organs, glands, systems, from the body, from the mind. And it can be so magical and quick. But that is the key, is finding that linchpin, that trauma, those beliefs about myself that are lies, and showing myself that and walking that through.
Yeah. A few things that you said, what I want to emphasize, obviously everything is energy for me too, as I keep saying, and there are physical and non-physical aspects. And just for someone that might be actually new, right? I want to just share one piece that I remember, like back in Germany a long time ago when I was working. It's like that I found out that gluten helped me. It's maybe the wrong the wrong word to feel depressed.
Yeah. Yes.
The underlying issues that I had to resolve, it was not only the gluten. But because of my underlying issues, and it was related to anxiety and addiction as well. So I'm just pointing it out because for some people it's like, huh? It's like, yeah, certain foods just contribute or emphasize, like it makes you feel. So that's why it's so important to work both sides, to stay away from the things that are toxic for you. And you do the testing for, if you want to find out, hey, what are things toxic for me? Go to bed, take a session, and find out.
Yes.
And then there's underlying non-physical issues, most of the time, at least in my experience with addiction, but maybe not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And then
well, and what's interesting too, you're talking about the food sensitivities, right? Almost always food sensitivities are trauma-based as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you look back at families, okay, everyone had depression, or there's 150 years of alcohol addiction. Okay. Well, I'm sure there are generational patterns of food sensitivities. They all are sensitive to the same things. You'll find that in families all the time. So, but the core of when that sensitivity started is almost always a trauma field. A trauma can be back in time generations or something in your life that triggers it, but it is trauma-based at its core. I really believe that, because I don't believe we are created to have food sensitivities.
Yeah.
I think they are created out of life experiences. They can be generational experiences. They can be past life experiences, if that's, something along the lines you believe. But it is not just, I wake up one day and I'm allergic to gluten.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But really, but I agree with you. Finding those things up front is important, so you start feeling better now. Yeah. And then you can work on, okay, why do I have that sensitivity in the first place? I used to be sensitive to every food. Now the only thing I avoid is shellfish and horseradish. Really working on what were those underlying issues that cause those sensitivities to begin with, that kick off that anxiety or depression. So that's another piece as well. But again, I think right now in the moment, yes, finding out, what are you sensitive to? What do you want to avoid right now to feel better immediately? And then working on that trauma piece, the beliefs about myself, where do those lies come from? And I have seen working on that piece heal somebody literally overnight from massive addiction.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Can I tell, do I have time to tell a story or two about cases? Okay.
And 1 second, guys that you're watching, any comments, any questions for Beth? I'm used to be live, so that's why I didn't even say it. Everything is a little different today. So share your questions, or if you can relate or any other things, just leave the comments below. Okay, Beth.
Yeah, and I'm happy to help answer those coming up as they come. Yeah. So, a couple of cases that I want to share really quickly, and it's interesting because I was doing this talk with you, 3 cases showed up in the same day, which is how it always happens.
Always, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you. Thank you, God, for sending those that day, because they just came in. And so really quick, one is a gentleman who's, he's a phenomenal healer in his own right. And he had emailed me and he said, for some reason, I have this tendency to drink too much, smoke too much, and vape too much. And I gave up drinking and I was doing great. And then I gave up smoking and I was doing great. But when I gave up those 2 things, I wanted to vape all the time. And he's like, I know well enough that there's some underlying thing here I am trying to cover up, because I have terrible anxiety, I'm having panic attacks, and I have to vape and vape and vape. And then it goes away. But something's going on here. He said, I've been doing fine. All of a sudden, this is coming back like a freight train. What happened? So this was a short session, less than 30 minutes. And he called, and I just started in testing him. He had a couple of things he was eating over the holidays, but that really was not the core issue. And I could see it right away. And it was old trauma, actually with a priest. And he cried, and he knew something had happened. He didn't know what, the beauty of this work, I don't need to know details of what happened. I just need to know a few things. How old was he, and what beliefs does he then have about himself? Well, the belief he has was, this is my fault. I caused this somehow. God doesn't love me. God's betrayed me. God's turned against me because it's a priest. And I am terrified. I am worth nothing. And I am terrified. So when I have terror and panic, I have to find something to drink, to smoke, go away. And then it goes away for a period of time until the next day. So we worked on that trauma and the issue healed. And the self-punishment stops. And you realize you do have value. You're believing lies. It's not about you personally. This is a sick person who hurt you. And you can start to release it.
Yeah.
And he did immediately. Okay. That was one in one day. Okay. Second person that called the same day was, let's see, let me look at see if I can find my notes at least today. Yeah. Okay. Yes. So yeah, there was another case where similar thing. This gentleman had, his problem was alcohol. He had spent his whole life doing for others so he could feel good about himself. You know, he protected his sister and mom from being physically abused by the dad. He gave his whole life to protecting them. And they kicked him out of the house anyway. He was rejected. His perception was, I feel rejected and alone. I have no value. I sacrificed my life for these people and it didn't matter. Okay. Something in his life today was an exact mirror of what happened in childhood. That's what happens. Something happens today that brings up that old pain. So something happened today with his wife and child that was a mirror. I gave everything and I'm still rejected. I'm still kicked out and I'm worth nothing. And he was falling apart.
Yeah.
We found the old trauma. He's like, thank you. I feel so much better right now. I can go write my book.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I want to say something about it because it's so good and it's like so much good value. First, you said something about self-punishment, and I want to say that it's like my experience so far is that addiction often has an element of self-punishment, which is
always
right. Yeah, that's what I thought. And so therefore, like obviously, and it's created. The trauma is created so early on. I also wanted to like it's just like it's not that you consciously get up in the morning. It's like, oh, I'm going to punish myself today. You know, like it's. Really something gets triggered and then you have the opportunity to heal. And you said something before as well with the healing. It's like, I do agree. And I think you said something similar. I do believe that we are meant to self-heal. We can seal what we see. And what, you know, if we reveal it, right? So for whatever reason that gets triggered and to find the core trauma to resolve that. So I just want, and in case you wonder, how does call and how does Beth work and all of that, I just want to say it's remote energy medicine. Like you literally call her and she does all of this on the phone. So I just wanted to put it out there. I kind of energetically felt the questions. It's like, this guy called her, how does it work? That's how it works. And here's the link somewhere as well from her side where you can connect with her. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah. And it's beautiful because especially in this particular topic, with addiction and anxiety, people feel shame talking about this.
A lot.
So I find it helps them. They don't have to look at me.
Gotcha. Yeah. Shame is a big one when it comes to addiction. I mean, and like in my experience, and I'm not so specialized in addiction as you, but over the years I've worked with a lot of people that have addictions, and I'm as a recovered addict as well. Shame is such a big, because you are already taking a substance, the substance doesn't matter, to numb the pain that's coming up, but because the shame makes it even worse, you even go more into addiction to cover up the shame, and like it's a vicious cycle.
Exactly. That's exactly right. And then you self-punish because you're, oh my gosh, I'm so ashamed, I did it again.
yeah, and you should know better, and what's wrong with me, and all of that stuff makes it just so it's really important to reveal the underlying issues so that healing can occur, so to say. Otherwise, if you don't heal the core issue, it will just repeat itself over and over again, right?
Yes, yes. And our culture is so unkind with these things. You're supposed to look a certain way, act a certain way, have everything together, be successful, and underneath it all, you're dying inside.
Yeah.
So part of why, and I also think that's part of why the phone work really helps. People can call, they can live in Sweden, they can live in New York City, they can live in Turks and Caicos, they can live in Japan. It doesn't matter. I don't have to see them. They can just share with their heart on the phone, and we can dive in there and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And it can be transformed immediately. But
yeah.
And that's part of why I love the way that this works, because in our culture, it's very hard for people. For example, if we talk about Alcoholics Anonymous or Overeaters Anonymous, it's difficult for people to go somewhere and even sit.
Yeah.
In a group. They feel so shamed.
Yeah, that's true. And that's why I always like to bring those topics out here, right? And so, and I would, you that you're watching, I would want to hear, can you relate in some way? In which ways does this relate? What is landing for you? How to resonate? And like shame and not feeling, society is where you say like unkind, and I think it's it's really necessary to bring these conversations out in the air as well, to approach it with more acceptance, love, and kindness. Because you just said something, and it's so true for anyone who has experienced that. Like, you might pretend, you might live, you might do whatever, and I did that back in the past, like inside you're dying. You are lonely as hell, like you feel no worth. You are literally dying inside, and you cannot even imagine how many people around you feel that way. So if you feel that way, you're not alone, number one. Number two, you can do something about it. And three, it's like when you look around, just because someone looks good on the outside doesn't mean that they're not lonely inside either. So maybe I'm calling out anyone, and my community is loving and kind anyway, but just look out and kind of look beyond the veils of what we plan, and just to bring more kindness as well, because I think it's important that those people have a place to go to share. And
from my own experience too, with my own health, and my own childhood, my own life, my past relationships and so on, what I have found myself and with others, if you feel panic and anxiety, you will do anything to get that feeling to go away. Anything you can find. And that can be addiction to something, and it can even be chronic illness. I would rather feel sick than feel panic and anxiety. Yeah. And I will throw out there, I believe this, chronic illness is kind of like an addiction too.
And that just something come up for me that I, and of course we have to limit it, we can talk here forever.
We could.
We'll do another round. And I can relate to that, and I want to just repeat it because of the shame and the self-punishment and the judgment. When you understand, you often judge less, because when you deeply understand that when you are in that addiction, let it be alcohol, food, whatever it is, and you hate yourself in that moment, because I do not know one addict that in that moment doesn't hate himself. Literally, I did that myself. I was stuffing myself. I had a belly ache. I thought I would throw up, and I was still stuffing myself, putting more and more. When you understand that deep inside underneath, you are highly anxious, like even panic, like it's a terror feeling, that instead of judging yourself and saying, oh, what's wrong with me? You look, okay, what's in there that needs to heal? And that work that you do, energy medicine, and that particular work that you do, because I've been working with you for many years, is so crucial for that. But I just want to bring a little bit of love and light into that it's not about something is wrong with you. It's just that something deep inside that you believe you cannot bear in that moment.
Right.
And it has nothing to do with self-discipline, willpower.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah. So I just wanted to, so.
I think one of the things that I tell my clients that I think is really good, because it reframes it, is there are lies you are believing about yourself. Because when you say something inside, it is a lie you're believing about yourself. It is not you. It is not your true nature. A person struggling with addiction, they do have value. They just think that they don't. It's a lie. So what lie are you believing?
Yeah.
And that's what we want to find.
Yeah. Beautifully said. And I had this thought today, Beth, when I was meditating. It's like, we are I'm a container for love, light, and truth. We all are. And the work is really peeling off those layers and looking at those lies so that can be released, so that truth can actually be the part that's living and not be like, oh my God, all these lies. I mean, gosh, I, to this point, still reveal some of them still. But so Beth, let me ask you if, and I'm going to put here the link. So if someone wants to find out more about you, is it go to your website, right? besthealingsolutions.com, and I'm posting it here. And obviously, I recommend anyone who resonates with you, wants to have a session, like reach out to you, subscribe to the newsletter, because you send out a newsletter and you sometimes also offer, I think you mentioned something that some course might come up for how to learn how to self-test. There's so many good things.
Yeah.
And do you have, for anyone who is interested in learning more but is not able right now to, invest, or some people, are in a state of, I want to do something, but I don't know how, what would you recommend them? How can they start, at least start with something, even if they are, financially maybe not there yet?
Yeah. The best thing to do, is signing up for the e-list, at besthealingsolutions.com. And then you'll receive discount codes for the shopping cart. You'll receive the latest about, classes, online classes, healing retreats, face-to-face classes, all of that. And then also on the website, you'll find, they're called HS clearing codes. And those are the healing codes used for various things. So there is a code there for addiction. There's a code there for anxiety, for example. Those are free and they're printable. So you can go to, print the document, and it's a printable sheet, that you can use those for various things in your life and feel a difference, inside with doing those healing codes. That's what I would recommend in terms of, something that's no cost. And then, I believe low cost, we do have Truth Techniques, which is a product that teaches people how to, muscle test for themselves if they want to. Everyone doesn't want to do that. So, they can call for a session as well. We do have a 24-hour money-back guarantee because we fully believe in the work. So, if someone does a session and they say, oh, it didn't do anything for me, we don't charge them for that session. For people that are new, trying it. So you don't have anything to lose with trying it.
Yeah.
It doesn't resonate with you.
Yeah. And so I'm going to put all these links here underneath as well. So subscribe, number one, regardless if you want to invest or not. And look out for the codes. I might actually put a slide here where on the page you can find them.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you resonate with it, you want to have a session, you do want to test certain things, just go ahead, fill out the form, request a session. And it is, we could speak hours. I've sent so many people to you already throughout the last 10 years. Like, I personally have only to be honest, there are maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that I go to when I have something, because I'm just, I do my own thing, and over the 20 years of doing inner work, I'm very picky, and I also have very, very, very high standards. And Beth, you are definitely one of them. So I recommend anyone who wants to test that, you have my personal recommendation to go and check out this work, because it's amazing. And I've seen healing results in my own, but also in clients that I send or friends or family members that are mind blowing. So it could go on forever. However, we're gonna wrap this up right now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Beth, for being here. And I do still love to have you live at some point. We'll make that happen another time.
Okay.
But I'm happy that we got this. And if you have any follow-up questions now that you've heard this, like leave a comment below. Beth and I are happy to go back to answer your questions, any comments. And do me one favor that you're watching, and I always do that. Think about for a moment, what was the most valuable thing you got out of this today? Like what's really landing for you? What's resonating? What's the biggest takeaway? And take a moment and share that with us, because it's valuable for you to anchor it. It's valuable for us as feedback, and you might actually inspire someone else that didn't even have that thought. So thank you guys for being here too. Beth, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonia. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. And you guys sign up for the newsletter, get the codes, and book a session. That's my recommendation for today. Okay, have a fantastic soul-infused rest of your day, and come back next Monday for a new show. Much love.
Thank you.